With the newest Ghoul update coming to the Wasteland of Fallout 76, a lot of new weapons are getting a light shined on them like never before. One of these weapons that I find to be the most fun would have to be the extremely underutilized Gamma Gun. Before we get into the hows of getting this weapon, let's talk about why you want it on both a Ghoul character and a Smooth Skin character. Now, let's start with the more interesting of the two, the Ghoul. If you play a Ghoul character that uses ranged weapons, this thing is a perfect gun for you. It got a huge damage buff, like all of the pistols did with the Ghoul update, and Onslaught makes the weapon actually extremely useful now because it just helps pretty much all weapon types that weren't extremely powerful before. So if you're looking for a ranged weapon and you're kind of disappointed in how much damage you're doing as a ranged Ghoul, and you really don't want to go to a melee build, or you just can't go to a melee build yet because you don't have your auto axe or chainsaw, this is the weapon for you. I promise you, if you're upset with how much damage you're doing as a Ghoul and you see online that it's a powerhouse and it could destroy everything, you got to get one of these and then you'll be in the right direction. Plus, if you are a Ghoul, you could heal from radiation, and you guessed it, the Gamma Gun shoots a pretty large radiation AoE attack that will not only shred through all your enemies, but you could also heal off of, which is pretty crazy. So that means that this is a healing weapon for you as a Ghoul without being vampire, so you don't have to sacrifice damage for survivability like you had to do on a normal Smooth Skin character. On top of this thing basically being a non-stop high damage Moxie weapon from Borderlands 2, this gun has some crazy synergy with a lot of the Ghoul perk cards, specifically glowing criticals in luck, where it allows you to do 50% more VATS critical damage if your glow meter is filled all the way up, which you always will be glowing because you're shooting a giant bolt of radiation that explodes a few inches from you. Now, obviously, the Gamma Gun is to be used in close quarters. It's not the best from far away. Same thing with the Gamma Rifle. So basically, it's a high damage pistol that is automatically silenced, so it gets a buff from all of the stealth perks, and it heals you non-stop, keeps you in the glow, and melts through most enemies. It's a win-win, especially if you're a newer player and you're tired of getting your butt handed to you as a melee character, because unfortunately, melee builds in Fallout 76 are pretty unforgiving very early on in the game. However, they can be considered some of the strongest builds once you get your auto axe. Now, it does still have some uses on your non-Ghoul characters, but obviously not as much, just because of how, I guess, essential it is for Ghoul ranged characters for keeping your health topped up and just for shredding through enemies. But if you are a non-Ghoul character and you're a Bloodied build, then this gun is still a must-have for now. But this time, instead of for healing you, it's for keeping on top of your rads and keeping your all of your perks proccing and everything like that. There is no better way to top yourself off on rads than this thing on the go 100%. You basically just shoot the ground in front of you and boom, you get a crap ton of rads, keeping your nerd rage proccing and your bloody damage multiplier maxed out. So it's more of a tool for all of these players, but it still is 100% necessary in my opinion. Every single bloody build that I have a Gamma Gun in my inventory at all times with a few Gamma rounds just to be able to stay on top of my Bloodied, just because, you know, if you travel around or if you play the game for a while, eventually you're going to lose some of your radiation. If you die or something like that, you're going to lose some of your radiation, so you're going to have to ingest some more toxic goo or dirty water or something like that just to get your rads topped off. And instead of doing that, you could just walk around with this thing in your pocket and shoot the ground every once in a while to keep your rads topped off. So it's a necessity for non-Ghoul players, just an unnecessary tool, not a weapon. Now that we've covered exactly the benefits of this weapon on both character types, let's talk about how you could obtain one for yourself. And unfortunately, it's not the easiest weapon to obtain. RNG will play an effect in your journey heavily. So let's talk about the main 4 ways you can get this weapon and the plan for this weapon. Now, first and foremost, the easiest way, it can be purchased from Graham during Meat Week as a plan. So once Meat Week goes live, head over to Graham the Super Mutant, buy all of his plans. You should do this regardless of the Gamma Gun, just because he has some solid plans, and it's only going to be around when he is around, and this is by far the easiest way of getting it and the most direct way of getting it. So if you need it, Meat Week's coming up, or check the community calendar over on Nuke and Nights, and he will be able to sell it to you. No problem. It will be in his inventory. Just head over to the plan section and purchase it for some caps. Now, the second best way to get it all year round, not when Meat Week is just active, is through the event Radiation Rumble. That's right. It's an event reward, so pray to the RNG gods. that hopefully you could get it. Thankfully, Radiation Rumble is an event that pops up pretty often, so if you're looking for this while Meat Week isn't active, make sure you do every single Radiation Rumble possible, and you have a nice chance of getting the Gamma Gun plan and also some Gamma Gun weapons as drops. The third way that you could obtain this plan is, again, heavily based on RNG, and it's just by opening holiday gifts or mole miner bales. So if you have a few of those stashed away, make sure you open them and keep an eye out for the Gamma Gun plan and weapon. I will say, though, this isn't necessarily the best way because they keep updating the loot pool of the pails and the holiday gifts, so it's unfortunately just getting buried under more and more camp cosmetics. Now, the final way you could obtain this weapon is, again, very RNG based and is probably the worst way to obtain it. However, some of you may have gotten extremely lucky. This weapon could just be obtained from random corpses or loot containers all across the wasteland, so you may get extremely lucky, like I said, and find one off a dead cultist body. However, it is pretty rare, so I have found them here and there in the wild. Like, it's not like it's impossible, but I also have 2,000 hours in this game, so you may not stumble across one when you're watching this video if you're hunting at it. Mainly, Meat Week, if you can't get one by Meat Week, purchase it from Graham, and then if you want to try and get it beforehand, just go ahead and do some Radiation Rumbles, and hopefully you could get it to drop from the event reward list. Now, let's move on and talk about how you get the mods for this bad boy, and it's extremely simple. All of the mods from the Gamma Gun can be simply obtained just by scrapping it. There aren't too many mods for this weapon, so you won't have too much trouble getting them all. Literally just craft some, throw on Super Duper, craft some, and then just scrap a bunch of them to get the mods for this weapon. It's not that difficult. I would say you could probably get all of the mods scrapping like maybe 30 of them or something like that, maybe 20, not too difficult. Again, if you are a newer player, it will probably cost you a little bit of your resources to be able to scrap that many. However, if you are a veteran player that just switched over your second character to be a ghoul and you have enough materials, I would suggest just maybe making like 25 of these just to start off and then scrapping them all for the mods. So let's talk about the mods for the weapon. We have a dish mod, which is the deep ditch, which just increases range. Unfortunately, it is not a pizza. The sharpshooter's grip, which obviously improves accuracy. It has a couple of signal modifications. The signal repeater makes it automatic. And then finally, the electric signal carrier antenna turns it into a charged up weapon like an Assaultron head or a Gauss rifle. Obviously, that one's not going to be the best. If you want my opinion, I would suggest you run this on your Ghoul. When you're doing a Bloodied build, I'll talk about that in a second, but for a Ghoul, I would suggest you use the Deep Dish mod, the Sharpshooter's Grip, and then the Signal Repeater for max DPS range and accuracy. Now, if you are going to use it on a Bloodied character, I would suggest you put 2-shot on it, and because that gives you more rads, and basically that's it. You don't really need to make it automatic or anything like that because you're just going to be shooting yourself to get that 200 rads every time it hits the ground. So that's basically it. It's not too difficult. You don't have to go on any quests. You don't have to buy from any vendors. You literally just scrap the gun, and that's it. All right, before we end the video, here are some quick tips that I've learned while using this weapon. First off, this weapon is amazing in PvP as long as you're not going up against a power armor user because radiation resistance. This thing, though, shreds bloody builds like no tomorrow. So if you're looking for a great Ghoul PvP weapon or just something to dip your feet into the PvP waters, this is a solid choice. Again, you can't really use it against people that are in power armor just because of radiation resistance, but bloody builds or any full health builds that do not use power armor, this thing is going to be their kryptonite. It will shred through them. Up next, the Gamma Gun also benefits from the Demolition Expert perk card. So if you want a little bit more damage, there's an easy way you can go about it. Another way that it benefits from perk cards, the Gamma Gun is also a silence weapon, which I mentioned before. So it also benefits from the silencer perk cards and all of the stealth perk cards. So just keep that in mind. Also, you will get some extra damage out of it that way if you throw on Demolition Expert and then also the silence perks. And then finally, I did mention it before, but if you're running a bloody build, simply just shoot the ground at your feet to keep yourself topped up on rads without damaging your health. You're going to want to literally just put your controller all the way down, aim it at your feet, and then just shoot a couple of them, and then you'll be good to go. Don't overdo it, and do not make it automatic so then you don't accidentally kill yourself. Just have it a single shot, shoot at your feet, and then boom, you're topped off on rads. But there you have it, ladies and gents of the Wasteland. We've made it to the end of another Fallout 76 video. video. So if you're looking for the perfect ghoul combination, you may have just found it with the gamma gun. Go out and farm yourself some today, and obviously throw maybe a little quad effect on it for max DPS because the magazine is pretty low. But I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope it helped you. I hope you now know how to get a gamma gun, and this clears up some of the confusion. Good luck. It is pretty much RNG based. Meat Week is coming up though, so you may be able to get it from Graham pretty soon without grinding your ass off. So as always, I appreciate you motherfuckers for watching this motherfucking video, and I will see you in the Wasteland, hopefully shooting balls of irradiated fire.